And welcome to the winners bracket finals here. Looks like Jason started out with, oh, that's a 1. Looked like a 2 from this angle. But expecting a really terrific match here. Mike, no. Mike was the #1 ranked player for a pretty good stretch of years, but he has never won this event, nor have any of the other 3 contestants that are still left. So we will be crowning a new singles champion this year. Jason's not nearly as well known, although he is starting to get respect from some of the top players who have had a chance to see him the last year or two. But this is a guy with as many shots as anybody in the game, multiple span shots with each hand. Got a good blast shot, lies good both hands, got a good free hand, good thinker. So definitely not getting as much respect from the shuffleboard community at large, probably as his game has earned him at this point in time. So we'll see. He's hungry. I think ditto for everybody else who's left in the tournament. Well, close one there for Mike, but Jason scores another 1, and this is my first time watching a match on this board. I don't know if there's a preferred lagging end amongst the players, but that will play out here, I guess, over the course of the match. Neither one of them has played this board yet in this event. Jason playing short, going to try and prevent Mike from getting any free chances to check the speed. No practice lags. Mike may go ahead and pass one of these anyway, just to get a little better feel for the end of the board. Jason would love to stick that right where it is.
Is it live when I put it on?
And I'd like to welcome Roger Holloway to the broadcast booth here.
Thank you, John.
Roger is one of the few people that's won this event, period, but he's a member of an even smaller group as a multiple champion, having won it twice in the last 5 years?
2011, 2016.
Okay.
I got second in 2015. Double dip by the same guy that put me out. Guy that taught me how to lag, Billy Melton.
Well, there we go. Jason tied up some board there with his last shot, and Mike goes ahead and bombs himself. Looks like a nice fat 3 in there.
I haven't got to see Jason play very much. What's his game style like? Would you say it's aggressive, conservative, a little bit of all the above?
Fairly conservative under these circumstances, but I think what you're going to see is that Jason's got himself 3 really solid span shots with each hand, a baby span, a medium one, and a wide span. Also shoots a good free hand. He can shoot hard with either hand. Good lagger, good thinker. One of the really underrated players, probably the most underrated player in the game. And that's mostly a function of the fact that he hasn't traveled a lot outside Michigan. But in his only other recent trip here, I believe it was 3 years ago, and he took out 3 or 4 of the top half dozen players in consecutive matches. And kind of opened people's eyes a little bit, but he was still not considered among the favorites this weekend.
Yeah, I remember his Calcutta was very nice odds.
Oops.
Something you don't see
Mike,
very often.
Mike did make a comment to me earlier this afternoon that he'd been watching Jason and was really impressed with how big of an arsenal he had in terms of all the different shots that he has with all the spans that I referenced. And I think Mike is very much aware that this is a guy who's capable of beating him.
People just don't realize all those shots, they just give you so many more advantages of controlling frames. If you can stick a weight with 3 or 4 different shots, you should always have a way to get to it. And if you can keep people from lag checks equals points and also builds confidence. If you can stick every weight and always keep them chasing at you, you're going to have a way better chance of keeping them off their lag. So you play with Jason often?
I did for a long time. I just haven't played that much, period, in recent years. But Jason's father owned the main Shuffleboard bar in Detroit for a number of years. It was actually, his dad owned several different bars, but the action kind of followed him around. Jason's grandfather also owned one of the prominent Shuffleboard bars in the Detroit area at one point in time. So,
nice.
I've actually known Jason since he was 2. They used to bring him into the bar, and he'd stand up on a chair at the end of the table and just shove weights back and forth a little bit. So he's been around the game his whole life.
That's got to be awesome for you to sit up here watching him now.
Yeah, it is. Mike is definitely a guy that I've been hoping would win this tournament at some point in time, and would be easy to cheer for him in this match under almost any other circumstances, but this is a tough one.
Yeah, I'm kind of rooting for him. He taught me how to shoot span and jersey. No, Mike, for 9 years now. One of the best shooters there is in the game ever.
Yeah, and he's certainly represented the game well also. But Jason's definitely somebody that'll trade aggressive play with him. I don't expect Jason to be terribly aggressive on his own here, but he's not going to shy away from these kind of frames too much either.
That's what I mean.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but nice little roll there by Mike.
I get criticized often for this, but when somebody bumps my weight up, I always like to pass it real short and hide it right behind it, keep both hands open, and let them try to take the crosses away and make them try to make a freehand shot around it, especially if the weights are set to the low side. Or I'm sorry, the high side. And what I mean by the high side is if they're on the high side of the board, every board usually leans one way more than the other, just a little bit. And if the weights are favoring the higher side of the board, if you're forcing them to make a freehand shot because the crosses are blocked when you pass that short weight, most of the time it's going to stay out. And then you have a chance to stick and roll behind and have maybe a deuce or a 3 plus a 1 and your short weight working. Defensive trap.
Yep. No, interesting play there. Looks to me like that weight is now stickable. I might have just thrown another short weight.
It is very
block
stickable
that back weight and let Jason do whatever he wants to with this one, and know that I'm going to make at least 2 or 3.
I played Rena on this board, and if you just take some speed off right there, it will go right in and stick that weight. But there's a little crown right there where that weight is on the dark green emblem. And if people, I don't know really how to explain crowns on the microphone.
Yeah,
but
just kind of a high point in the board where it maybe pulls back from that spot a little bit when you'd expect it to do the opposite.
Right. So if you throw straight up that rail and you put any kind of speed on it, it stays to the left side of the crown. But if you take off just a little speed and it crosses, it dives down past that. And that weight was very stickable. I just didn't know the speed yet. It's hard to see that stuff when you're playing in a tournament. New boards,
Yeah, you're
neutral.
trying to process and learn that on the fly some pretty subtle nuances. We know which ultimately make the difference. I mean, obviously, if he stuck that weight, potentially changes that frame up quite a bit.
That shot you saw Mike dump off the rail right there. A lot of times, if the rail will hold, he can pitch that weight in, hang it halfway, not halfway, about a quarter of the weight off, and then get the full extent of lateral movement out of the weight because it's coming from the highest side of the board. It's one of the best pick-out shots there is, and a lot of people don't have that shot. What is Jason rated?
Jason's like a minus 0.65 or something like that. Minus 0.7. I actually don't know if his mom is still awake, but I just sent her a text
So
that he
he's a
was
full -1.
playing on the line. Yeah, so he is like a medium -1.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you saying about his mom?
No, I'm just saying that I don't know if his mom is still awake or knows that he's playing, but I just sent her a text that your boy is playing live. His mom was also a very good player when she was active. As a matter of fact, when I was like 21, 22 years old, she used to slap me around a little bit.
On the table, I'm assuming.
On the table, yes.
That's when the game's the most fun. It's when you're learning everything.
And what have we here?
It's really not a bad play at all. Even though there's a 1, and most pros, when there's a 1 on the board, they're super aggressive with their leg because if they leg off, they have it coming back. But this way, coming back, I played Reno on that board, and the way that they're going now, it's a little bit faster. And him taking that 1, keeping a 2-point lead, keeping the hammer on the end that's a little bit slower, allows him to be a little bit more aggressive with his leg. Keeping a 2-point lead, he did a good job.
Yeah, and over on board 11 with David Williams Jr. and Jim Payne, we have two very different styles. Jr. being one of the most aggressive players in the game, and Payne being pretty conservative.
Very conservative.
But both good laggers, both very good laggers.
To me, Jim always stands out as like, when I think of Jim, I just think of grinder.
Yep.
That's what comes into mind with me. I can't tell you how many times I've had big leads on him, and somehow it always ends up down to the wire. He stalled out on me a few times. played junior a lot. We see each other every tournament.
Yeah, kind of surprising shot there by Jason. Surely he didn't want wait that short.
Especially if he's trying to keep the hammer.
Or, well, actually, almost looks like it's Mike's hammer.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's
because I don't think there's a pass shot from that side.
There's a few.
Yeah,
you can pass
that
it
means
from both
it's-
sides. You can go freehand, start it from just a
Okay.
barely right side of center, and it'll bury right around behind that. Or you could take your freehand and move it to the left side of center and pitch it straight at the rail. But if you get too close, it will dump. But at the very end, right in between both emblems where the Sands Regency writing is, if you can hit the rail right there, it will swing all the way right back behind that weight.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Jason has any particular preference on lagging there. I certainly would not have given Mike a chance to lag against a 1 there.
I don't ever like letting Mike lag against the 1, a deep 1. It's funny how when you're playing, you can never really. Sometimes you don't see the high side or the low side of the lag in. I remember last year when I was playing Jim on board 12, I didn't find the lag in until the third game, or really, I'd say probably halfway through the second game. I didn't really realize it.
Okay, so we've had a laptop delivered. I can now see the chat window going on. And if they're asking us questions here.
Let that one go. Take a little stab at it.
Yeah, and you may get tired of hearing me say this on the broadcast, but it looks like the boards are very laggable, but if you press just a little, they're gone. It seems especially so right in the middle of the table.
By far, the middle was definitely the fastest. If you got it through that dark, deep emblem, it was very fast in the middle.
But it does seem like if you freehand it towards one rail or the other and let it break back in, that there's definitely more stop than there is if you go straight up the middle.
Me personally, I like lagging right up that middle. That's the shortest lag, point A to point B.
Yeah, I love straight up the middle myself, but I have certainly seen a lot of lags go off straight up the middle in this tournament. Looks like there's a little bit of a checkup if you go one side of the center or the other a little bit.
A lot of pros, that's a big weakness whenever you see a lag that it's not stopping very much, but you're so torn on your favorite lag that you don't even try to switch to crosses.
I think people fall in love with their favorite shot, and even if it's not working, they tend to press it where maybe it'd be prudent to go find another area. It is kind of funny sometimes to see a guy make a couple of shots in a row, throw a deuce or three down there, and then all of a sudden it's hammer time, and he doesn't go back to that same place where he's got a stroke.
I'm very guilty of that myself. But a lot of times when whenever I don't have the hammer, I'm always trying to throw two down there. And if I feel like they're dominant one hand at all, I'm always going to try to play the other side, and I'm going to try to lag.
This looks good.
Yeah, it was a very good lag. Kind of scary getting close to that short weight.
Yeah, most people don't like to lag right by a weight. It's it's hard to not have it in your vision, either your actual vision or be thinking about it just a hair.
What's really neat about our game is how many different styles of play there are. Like you look at Kelly Cameron, he's a very he controls frames real well. He always tries to keep a weight on the board. He's always going to keep you shooting at him. If you stick, he's going to try to stick back, never let you see any leg checks. He's going to play that scoreboard. And a lot of times if you miss his weight, he's not going to try to go around and put a 2 or 3 around there. He's going to play a short weight, block the cross come around, and if you want to try and go around it then, the go around is going to be pretty bad with that short weight in the middle.
Yep.
And a lot of times, especially if you're down, if the opponent is down, they're going to try to make something happen. And then that short weight being there, it just makes the percentage of them making already a low percentage shot even worse. And then you look at Mike. I look at Kelly like defensive trap player, and I think of Mike as like an aggressive trap player. Although we're not seeing very much aggressive trap out of Mike right now because he's not really needing it. He's sticking a lot of weights, and he's controlling frames, and he's making sure he's lagging. He's checking his lag a lot.
Yeah, and it's a big moment. I think he's going to be a little more conservative, unless the situation dictates otherwise.
I like it. He's long overdue.
And it's definitely a way different mentality, cash game versus tournament game.
Oh, big time. That's the one thing I was going to ask you about Jason, him having that many shots. I bet somebody that has that many shots, I just saw him pull out not only a finger shot, but a ring finger shot, where you pull over and you get a whole nother inch and a half out of the shot. And shuffleboard's a game of inches. And if you have those kind of shots, you must like board play. You said earlier he's not going to play very aggressive right now because of the situation we're in, this high stakes. But I'd be willing to bet back at home in the session games he's a little board player.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
he loves to have a lot of weights on the board and exciting kind of frames. Him and Mike would make an interesting cash game.
Fun to watch. Wouldn't be boring.
Wouldn't be boring.
And for those of y'all that don't know what we mean by board play is, okay, there's straight up play where you try to hit every weight and lag, and you protect your hammers. You don't pass weights without the hammer. And then there's board play where somebody will give you a go around, and instead of going around it, you come up short of the go around weight. And then you take the combo away and you let them try to come around it. And when you're board playing, you want as many weights on the board as possible. The more weights, the more opportunities there are. That's why a lot of times when I play Junior and Mike, I throw a 2 or 3 down there and they're down. I almost know they're gonna back it up, set up on it, come up about a foot short of it. And if they are not dead lined up with the weight, I'll try to stick it. I do not let them keep their weights on the board.
Well, we got a little gamble going here now.
Nice pop.
Great bump. So Jason's trying to create some action for himself. Now he's got to wait there.
Ooh, Mike just blocked the right rail. Jason's got.
Yeah, so if he could freehand one in there, he probably would prefer that weight was 6 inches shallower, but it's when you're bumping weights 12 feet, it's hard to be super precise about exactly how far they go. But Jason's trying to create a go-around shot for himself. That's the reason he bumped that, or at least might make Mike make some decisions. But he's not going to get crazy and give the game away there, so he just sticks it.
I bet Mike's happy he just stuck that, because if he tried anything at all, Mike's right rail is blocked, and man, that takes a huge weapon out. When Mike stuck that short weight and it rolled to the rail, he was not liking that.
Yep, and it looks like Jason's just going to take that weight out and clean the board off and give himself lots of real estate to lag in.
A little aggressive play in the beginning, no harm, no foul.
Your chair's about to fall off the back of the stage. Yeah, I don't want to get in much shit. You understand? Yeah.
Well, once again, the Wax is playing great this year.
Well, it's legal if there's some on the side of the weight, but yeah, then that really doesn't qualify. You get it? Yeah. Well, big lag. Looks like he tied it up. Maybe it's a deuce.
12-11, I think. Ever since I started playing, I've always liked watching Mike shoot. He has very good hands.
Great hands, great imagination. I think that's what I enjoy the most about him. There's other players with great hands and great imagination too, but I really think that's the part of Mike's game I really enjoy the most. Is he's such a creative player.
His trap play.
Which obviously you got to be a great shot maker if you're going to be creative and play those kind of aggressive frames for sure.
Well, everyone always says that Billy Mays was the best shooter in the game, and everybody I've always talked to said Mike's the next closest thing that anybody's ever seen to Billy Mays as far as shooting goes. And
I'd have to agree with that.
And when I started playing, he was by far known as the best shooter in the game. And he was the guy that I wanted to learn shooting from. He taught me my jersey and my span. And then it was curtains from that. We had a lot of fun together.
Well, Jim did definitely not get a mush hit. Kind of shocking the number of missed weights that I've seen today, and I've seen some deuces and threes missed. It's just wouldn't expect.
Myself is one of those people you're talking about.
You missed a few weights, yeah, and I made the
Yes.
comments when I was doing your games. It's just so uncharacteristic.
There's like these little subtle lines on some of these boards that if you don't just pitch it just enough, it holds flat. If you pitch it too much and it crosses over a little crown, it like wants to dive past. And if you throw it too slow, that's what people don't understand about crowns is when you're shooting over crowns, you can't throw it too slow because if you throw it too slow, when it does cross, it's going to dive even more. It's going to have way more lateral movement, and you're not going to have a high percentage chance of sticking the weight. So what you have to do is keep your speed up a little bit, shoot through the crown, and don't allow it to dive past after it crosses the crown. And
but if you don't really get across the crown right, sometimes you shoot harder and it actually pulls back more not less.
Like Jim last year on board 12 when he game 2. That's how I won that game. Threw that left cross right over here, and he went straight down the rail. Never came across it.
Wow, big hammer steal there.
12-12.
Yeah, and I've wondered just because there's been a lot of them by major tournament top player standards, a lot of misses that I've seen last night and today. I wonder if it's just a matter. Sometimes it's just hard to trust a shot, especially if there's a little bit of a double break to it. And I wonder if people are just not fully committed, or it's just a touchy shot and they're not letting it go and not hitting the right spot.
When you throw your practice weights, you only throw one speed. Well, I only throw one speed. I always pretend like there's a 3 down there, and it's my hammer, and I'm trying to stick a 3. That's the speed I always try to throw my practice weights. And a lot of times, you don't see these little subtleties in the board when you throw them that slow, and you just put any kind of speed on it at all, and it takes a whole different line. And, once you see a line from a stick speed shot, you get a real good visual of the lateral movement in the board. You just put a little bit of speed on it, hang it in, or push it out a little bit. I can't tell you how many times this tournament I was like, how did it do that? It won't be the last time. It's the fun part about our game.
Well, it's definitely my goal as a director to make these boards tough but still fair. I don't like those ones where you can just almost close your eyes and pass a weight and it just goes in there.
Exactly. The boards are playing. That's one of the best things about this tournament is the boards are always so good. Whoa, a little bit. Can't push it from that end. That's another thing is, you might be trying to lag from one end, and then say you hit a 1, 2, and then you go down to the other end and you start the frame off with a hammer and you check your lag from that end, and then that he doesn't have a hammer on when he does check his lag from that end, it's a lot slower. He comes down here on this end, and if he's trying to throw any kind of muscle memory close to the other end, clearly you could see that was not even trying to stop. When you're playing, it's so hard to see that, though.
Well, there's a good shot right there.
It was a great shot.
So now you got a decision to make.
He's got.
I mean, it's almost you shoot the double and.
I'm not shooting the double here. For sure.
Lagging?
I'm either trying to come up right up on that deuce or go around all of it. That's why. Oh, wait. Well, Jason had the hammer. Oh,
yeah.
Never mind. No,
that's why I thought maybe he would just take the back weight out.
I thought Mike had the hammer there.
And bail on the frame. Yeah. Yeah, if Mike's got the hammer, I'm not shooting that double.
Right.
And they going all in on that shot. Yeah.
No, that was a very smart
pass the back weight for sure, maybe get around both of them, but we're right on top of it, as you said.
You don't want to get cute there, try some shot into a rail that you don't know yet, and miss everything and not even have a chance to lag out on the other end. That was by far the best shot. Bumping the weight right there, I don't really like it. I would, instead of bumping it, I think I would just check my lag. And, if he sticks it, oh well, if they blast it off. If they stick it, you can set up on it if you want to play that aggressive. But at least you'll know where the end's at. And when you're wanting to push for a 3, from 12, 14, I don't think he really has a great idea right now where the lag's at.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to try and keep the board uncluttered. I'm going to feel like I can lag a 3 at this point in time and don't want to have to negotiate in between a couple of weights to get that done.
Give yourself the best chance to lag out. You got to feel there. So hard when you're trying to close out to pull it back that adrenaline down. You know, I gauge my legs and I have a very mechanical system I use. I know exactly where my starting point is, but when you're trying to close a game out, especially 12-14, 13-14, 13-13, it's so hard to back your adrenaline down and just stay smooth through the release of the shot. Any jerkiness at all, and you're not gonna make it. Looks pretty good.
No, that's gone.
Oh, it's gone. It's hard to see from the TV. I'm looking at the TV. Game 1 goes to Mike.
Well, Mike starts off with a big lag. First frame puts some pressure on Jason. Well, so it almost looks like Mike is tempting Jason into maybe trying an aggressive play here early. Thinking that Jason might be pressing a little bit, being down one game and down 3-0, and well, we'll see if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But Jason is definitely going to accept the opportunity. Oh, nice shot there. Just definitely the proverbial game of inches. Just a hair more speedy to hit that deuce and rolled in behind the cover, but now Mike's really in control of the frame. Tough to be patient when you're down a game, and the guy that comes out and lags a 3 in the beginning. But Jason's just definitely got to be patient and careful not to get in too much of a situation. There's a great shot right there. All right, Jason lags himself a 1, not exactly what he was hoping for, but he was staring down a deuce hidden and blocked, and certainly could have been worse for him. So yep, in a cash game, Mike's probably passing that weight almost 100% of the time, but not under these circumstances. Wow, super aggressive play by Jason this early. I don't think I agree with that. Yeah, kind of going all in on Mike very early in the game. That's, as I said, tough to be patient, but you certainly can't go give up a big frame now at this point in time. Well, not exactly what Mike wanted, but on the other hand, not really bad either. If you make this double at just kind of a medium speed and stick it and give Mike just a medium deuce or light deuce to shoot at, that would be terrific. Oh boy.
Oh, wow. What
Yeah,
did I miss?
and Mike's hammer coming.
With 4 working?
Sure does look like it. Well, that's a heck of a break. Yeah, Jason elected to pass the second weight, down only 3-1.
That's something
I
you just
didn't.
don't do there.
I didn't really agree with it, and
Especially against the best shooter in the game, you don't, yeah.
yeah, that's now he's really got himself in a situation. I don't expect Mike to play around in it with any of these shots, which means Jason's just going to have to rely on lagging a couple of threes to get himself back in this.
Well, Mike's not blasting him, so he does have a chance of him sticking something.
Yeah, a little surprised that he didn't shoot that harder.
You know, as good as Mike shoots, I bet he wants to stick most of those weights just to see what happens. Here we go again. Let's span. Not even medium
Yeah, looks
speed.
like he's trying to stick it.
What a shot. Stick
Yeah.
and roll it all the way over there, hanging over there on that rail.
I would say there's a fairly good chance that Jason rolls this to a 3.
Well, if he doesn't keep his speed up, it will peel back. He can hit and go very easily on the shot. It does go over there, but if you don't keep your speed up, it peels back right at the end. Or see,
just
right
as
there.
you-
Just like that.
All right, well, good insight there.
Yeah,
And,
Rena showed me. She stuck and rolled weight over there, and I learned that real quick. Every time I play Rena, it's never a 2 straight match. She's beaten me. I got the best of her the last couple of times. But it's always a third game, and it's always double digits, and it's always nail biter.
oh, they were asking if I ran you off. Nope, Roger's back after a
Yeah.
little break there and offered some great insight that last frame.
See, if I'm Jason here, I'm trying to just bump that weight to the middle. Just like, oh, a little too far. You don't even care if your weight goes off the rail. You just want it to bump their weight out to a go-around setup. And that's a great play by Mike. Takes a lot of takes the cross away, forces him to shoot free hands, and it forces him to shoot free hands. Oh, Span's a good shot, but I don't think what the board does, it's going to stay out. And peel back right there. Wide open.
Well,
still a great shot. The board just goes to it. If Mike shoots at it at all, he might get into that weight, that red weight. As long as he stays up that rail, he'll be good. It's something I see about Mike and Kelly, David Sr. I watch a lot of my own videos. Oh wow, what a shot!
yeah, well, it's when it rains, it pours, right?
Well, it's what happens
But
when you're playing the best shot maker in the game. Yes, and when it does rain, it does pour. But what I was trying to say about, Mike and Kelly, David Sr., you watch me and Junior play a lot, and we just put the weight on the table and we shoot real quick. And they set the shot up and they line it up and they take their time. That's something that just comes with experience. Stayed in the ball game.
Thought there might have been room to make a wide span right hand around that and stick that weight, but well, Jason's got to be really disappointed. This is a big moment for him. He really was shooting good enough to be competitive in this match or win it, but just a questionable, aggressive decision early on.
Exactly. It's a lot. It took me a long time to learn that. You go through the game and you get rated up real quick, and people will have all these expectations of you. But Mike used to always tell me this: I don't have enough seasoning yet. You just haven't been in enough experiences. And 3-1, that's not the time to start getting aggressive. Even 6-2, 6-1 there. You just come back and you leg you a deuce. You try to control the frame, hold them to 1, try to come back, leg you another 2. You just keep chipping down.
And of all the skills that you need to be great at this game, patience is one of them, and not an easy one to learn.
No, sir, it is very not. It's not. A lot of times you get that tunnel vision where all you can see is how many you can score and not what you can mess up.
And I learned a lot of that from Daryl, and used to love to watch him play, and just a exceedingly patient player, but he's very measured in when he gambled, and people used to, it was almost a little bit of a joke. They'd say, how does the guy win so many tournaments taking all those ones? But there were situations where there was not the time to push for it, and he just never made that mistake of lagging off at the wrong time. And that
I didn't get to see very much of Daryl playing. Right when I started playing I think it was the starting of the downhill slope for him. I never got to see him really win anything big. But I've heard all the stories, and his stats are they're for. So, he dominated the game for a period of time that was, I don't know, something I'm trying to. It's something I'm looking forward. You know, you got to set goals for yourself. And
Absolutely,
Bill
yeah.
and Daryl, they're the people that I'm trying to break their records, their goals, so that what they've done in the game. And I've heard Daryl's span shot, that mini span off the rail. You know, I've seen Kaiton try to mimic it and shoot it a lot. And when you get
Speaking of the
down
fingers,
the
a finger
thumb,
shot or thumb shot, but
the
but
mini
only a little bit,
the mini thumb off
just a
the
few
index
boards off the
knuckle.
rail. Okay.
Right, right. And that's actually become one of my most favorite shots is that mini span up the rails. I don't like too much shooting it crossboard. I usually will just go to, if I need to go around a weight, I'll just go wide span around it instead of a mini span around it. And, you know, I've messed around with Daryl's mechanics of his span. I watched that Dixie. There's a Dixie tournament that has a really good footage. Jim
Oh,
Martin
the
has.
Dixie Bell, yeah.
Yes, Dixie Bell tournament. And I watched his mechanics a lot. You know, it's a very what I like about his shot is me when I'm shooting, I try to reduce as much amount of movement as possible.
Yes, he's got a very minimalist.
Exactly. It's a slight rock back and a pitch. And there's not very much you can mess up there. Everything is locked in. His body's set up in a great position. And there's really two things he can mess up is his wrist breaking, you know, controlling the trajectory of the shot, and his speed. Everything else is locked in. His shoulder, his elbow has no play on it. It's all that little wrist movement. And for me, it's my favorite shot up the rails now. You know, I don't shoot really too many Jersey straight rail shots anymore. I feel like the percentage for mini span into the rail of sticking away is much higher than Jersey rail because you're shooting into the weight. It's also
Well,
it's
now it doesn't look like he's trying to stick him.
right. Yeah,
It's
I can one out from here, I think. You know, you're not supposed to stick those shots like that, but when you do and you roll them to the rail, it feels so good.
yeah, and you know when you're the guy that's chasing and you desperately need a
Exactly.
break, and you think, you know, God, he finally stuck one and he rolls it over there. I can't
Right.
do anything with it.
It's
That's just,
devastating. Any
and I know you know, if you're the guy with the lead that makes that, it just rolls over there. You're smirking on the
it
inside.
just
You know,
pumps
it's just
you. Like like your momentum just went up a point, and the other guys just went down 3 points. It took me a
all
long
right.
time to
Well,
learn.
not much of a chance, but
Right. Good lag though.
what wasn't the lag? It's Mike's hammer.
Oh. Oh man. Worst commentator ever.
Well, we're all amateurs at this part of it, but I have enjoyed the commentary that I have done, especially getting to talk, getting perspective from some of the top players about how they would play certain shots and just insights into guys uh, that they've played a lot with and against.
Well, just keep
And
me
it's
up a
just,
little bit longer, and I'll talk more than Rick Gann on this thing.
well, after a pretty exciting first game, that was
Mike controlled the frame shooting very well. Jason, he got very impatient very early. You know,
And it
coming
just goes
up,
to show you it doesn't take a lot of mental mistakes to get beat here. That
All
was
it
just
takes
one,
is
and then
one.
just started an avalanche.
all it takes is one.